What is up, Ravens Flock? Huge shout out for your support for the 410 Sports Talk. James and Glenn are the best in the business. They're killing it right now. They love talking Raven talk. Make sure you go subscribe to their channel. Let's go Ravens. Big trust.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell Long, my co-host Glenn Martin, and we are here to talk about a punter, not Sam Cook, ladies and gentlemen, but Jordan
and not the
Stout.
punt god.
And not the punt god, that's right, who DraftPlex mocked to the Baltimore Ravens, but instead Jordan Stout out of Penn State was yet another fourth-round pick for the Baltimore Ravens at 130. We're here to talk about it. But before we do, make sure to stay up to date with your Ravens news. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, and turn on those notifications. With that being said, Glenn, I want to give you a little bit of information on this guy. Leg strength is everything, apparently, which it should be with a lot of punters, right? But
it better be.
Yeah, when your leg strength is highlighted as a punter, that's being a quarterback and them talking about how strong your arm is, right? So that means it's exceptionally strong. But he also has touch, right? So one of the things that I saw here, so he averaged 46 yards per punt, and 35 of his 67 punts inside the opponent's 20-yard, landed inside the opponent's 20-yard line in 2021. That's impressive stuff. He's not as accurate. I don't really care. And he's
what do you mean
shown.
By, what do they?
So he's also did some place kicking and some field goal kicking. So that's, he's got range as a field goal kicker, not super accurate, and he can do kickoffs, but he's also not super accurate.
Well,
I don't care about any of those things.
Need any of that here in Baltimore.
Yeah, I don't care about any of those things. But the fact that we took a punter, I think, is intriguing. So he looks to be a good prospect. I think he's going to do really well. I'm interested to see what he turns into. But what I really want to know, Glenn, is we just took a punter. So what does that mean for who we have on the roster? Is this just going to be a camp leg? I doubt it's a fourth rounder.
Yeah, not with a fourth-round pick. It's really going to be interesting to see how this plays out because Sam Cook, of course, is our longest tenured Raven. I believe he set the record for most games played as a Raven.
Yep.
But he is 40 years of age, and he has a cap number of $3.1 million as a punter. And so, we love Sam Cook, and I think he's more valuable than your average punter with all that he can bring because he's not just a guy who booms it up in the air. He has multiple different types of punts. He's got, skill to, pin a guy deep and hit him at the coffin corner, but he also can, front spin a ball and boom out a monster one. He's
a golfer with it.
Exactly. He's not just a guy who kicks the ball really high and hopes you can, run down and get the tackle. So he's a guy that's very versatile. And of course, he's an integral part of the kicking unit when he's been the holder for the entirety of Justin Tucker's career, a Hall of Fame career. And so you kind of don't want to mess up an operation that has proven to be so good. And Tucker could just be being a friend and a good teammate, but he's raved about how much easier Sam Cook makes his job by catching anything in his way and putting it down and getting laces out before his leg reaches the ball. So that's the concern I have is, and people may say you can find a holder. Well, that may be the case, but I still think there's a high level of skill to be had there as well. And I think if you start messing up yeah, exactly. If you start messing with an operation that's been so great, there could be some adverse effects, and maybe maybe it doesn't affect him in a big way, but it could come down to that one big moment. You have issues, but what it does is it gives the Ravens an opportunity, and I think this is ultimately what happens here, Jimbo. I don't know if Sam Cook plays his last, this year in Baltimore with a $3.1 million cap hit and the ability to save 2.1 against the cap. If the Ravens either, find a guy that's a cap casualty, that's a post-draft cut, that could cost some money but help their team more than what a punter could, they could use that $2 million in cap savings and spend it elsewhere and maybe bolster another position or bring in another starter.
Yeah, and you got to cut corners any way you can. We got a quarterback on the verge of being paid like he is, and then obviously we're just tied up against the cap and things like that. And so every opportunity you can, you take advantage of. But it is interesting that the consensus pick for most athletic person on this team is Sam Cook by the players.
Oh well, every time they have the celebrity softball tournament, he is a monster. He hits bombs. And let's not forget, if you're ever curious and bored one day, just Google Sam Cook's passing numbers, because the guy is an absolute stud when it comes to trick plays and converting on those trick plays. The guy can throw the ball, and that's what was encouraging about Jordan Stout here. Is the first highlight I saw of him was him doing just that, taking a punt, faking it, turn it into a first down by throwing the ball to the left side down the field. So it looks like he's got some shades of that, but yeah, it'll be hard to replace the athlete that he was as a punter, which is kind of not
weird
something you see
and
every
rare.
day. Yeah.
Absolutely. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. And that trend, the Wolfpack is now, Justin Tucker is now the lone wolf, right? Because really, I mean, Nick Moore is not the original Wolfpack, and now Jordan Stout is.
But any chance do you see them? Maybe, I mean, he's a 4th round pick, which would really shock me. But do you think that there's any chance that they try and squeeze him through the practice squad by cutting him? I mean,
that's a good point. I don't know. I also wonder what the conversation is they're having with Sam Cook. Does he want to keep playing at 40? Like, how much does he want to be around and things like that? And then also, you have to consider, man, like I said before, you have every ability, right? It might just be a business decision at the end of the day. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. But let us know your guys' thoughts. We got a new punter. First time in.
Not the most exciting. Not the most exciting pick.
Right.
Huh?
No, not 20 years. It hasn't been 20 years, right? Like 16 or something like that. He's been with the Ravens.
Something like that. It's been a long
something
time.
Insane. But yeah, like you said, not the most exciting pick, but certainly one of the moves that had to be done for the sake of the cap. So let us know what your guys' thoughts are. Leave all your comments below, and we'll talk to you soon.